Margaret Hayes stood in the doorway of the elegant restaurant, her hands trembling slightly as she smoothed down her cream-colored blouse. At 58, she had learned to face life's challenges with quiet dignity, but tonight felt different. Tonight, she needed help. The autumn evening had settled over the city with a gentle chill. Inside the restaurant, warm light spilled from crystal chandeliers, casting everything in a golden glow. Margaret had worked here as a hostess for 3 years now, ever since her husband passed. It was honest work and it kept her busy. But more than that, it had introduced her to people she might never have met otherwise. One of those people was sitting at the bar right now, Daniel Morrison, a successful businessman in his early 40s, dark-haired and impeccably dressed in a tailored gray suit. He came here every Thursday evening, always alone, always ordering the same meal. Over time, they had struck up a friendship built on small conversations and shared kindness. He had told her about his 12-year-old daughter, Emily. She had told him about her late husband, Robert, and the life they had built together. Margaret took a breath and walked toward him. "Daniel," she said softly, "I hate to bother you." He looked up, his expression immediately concerned. "Margaret, you could never bother me." "What's wrong?" She glanced around the restaurant, then back at him. The words felt foolish in her mouth, but she had run out of options. "My daughter is getting married next month. She's been planning this wedding for over a year, and I'm so happy for her." "But there's a problem." Daniel set down his glass. "Go on." "My family. They've been worried about me. Ever since Robert died, they treat me like I'm fragile, like I can't take care of myself. My daughter keeps trying to set me up with men, and my son calls 3 times a day to check on me." She paused, feeling the weight of it all. "At the wedding, I know it's going to be worse. Everyone will be watching me, pitying me, trying to fix my life." "That sounds exhausting," Daniel said gently. "It is, and I know they mean well. I know they love me. But I need them to see that I'm okay, that I'm living my life." Margaret met his eyes. "I know this is asking too much, but I don't know who else to turn to. Could you pretend to be my date? Just for the wedding?" Daniel was quiet for a moment. Margaret felt her cheeks flush with embarrassment. What had she been thinking? This successful, handsome man had no reason to spend his Saturday at a stranger's wedding, playing pretend. But then he smiled. A warm, genuine smile that reached his eyes. "I would be honored, Margaret." The next few weeks passed quickly. Margaret and Daniel met for coffee twice to discuss the details. She learned that he had built his company from nothing after his wife left him when Emily was just a baby. He had raised his daughter alone, pouring everything he had into giving her a good life. "She's my whole world," he said one afternoon, showing Margaret a photo on his phone, a girl with her father's dark hair and a bright, intelligent smile. "I know people see the business success, the money, but none of that matters compared to her." Margaret understood completely. That's what being a parent is. Everything else is just noise. On the day of the wedding, Daniel arrived at Margaret's house right on time. He wore a navy suit with a subtle pattern, and he held a small bouquet of autumn flowers. "You look beautiful," he said, and Margaret believed him. The wedding was held at a country inn surrounded by maple trees ablaze with color. As they walked in together, Margaret felt several heads turn. She saw her daughter Linda pause mid-conversation, her eyes widening. "Mom!" Linda hurried over, pulling Margaret into a hug. "You look amazing. And this must be—" "Daniel Morrison," he said, extending his hand. "I've been enjoying your mother's company for a few months now. I hope you don't mind me joining you today." Linda's face lit up with delight and relief. "Mind? We're thrilled. Mom, I'm so happy for you." Throughout the ceremony, Daniel sat beside Margaret, his presence steady and reassuring. When she teared up watching Linda exchange vows, he quietly handed her his handkerchief. When her son, Michael, came over during the reception looking ready to hover, Daniel engaged him in a conversation about vintage cars that gave Margaret space to breathe. But something unexpected was happening. As the evening wore on, Margaret realized she wasn't pretending anymore. The comfort she felt with Daniel was real. The way he made her laugh. The way he listened when she spoke about Robert without judgment or discomfort. The way he understood loss and loneliness. It was all genuine. During a slow song, he asked her to dance. "I should warn you," Margaret said as they stepped onto the floor. I'm terribly out of practice. Then we'll figure it out together, Daniel replied. As they swayed to the music, Daniel spoke quietly. Can I tell you something? When you asked me to do this, I said yes because you've been kind to me for 3 years. Every Thursday night, you made me feel less alone. You asked about Emily. You remembered details about my life. You treated me like a person, not a bank account. Margaret looked up at him. You did the same for me. But here's the thing, he continued. Tonight isn't pretend for me anymore, Margaret. These past few weeks, getting to know you better, spending time with you, I realized something. I haven't felt this way in years. Maybe ever. Margaret's heart quickened. She had felt it too, but had been afraid to acknowledge it. I'm scared, she admitted. I loved Robert so much. I never thought I'd feel anything like this again. I'm not sure I remember how. We don't have to figure it all out tonight, Daniel said gently. We can take our time. We can be honest with each other. We can just see where this goes. Around them, other couples danced. The bride and groom moved past, lost in their own happiness. Margaret's family watched from tables nearby, smiling to see her content. I'd like that, Margaret said finally. I'd like that very much. 3 months later, on a cold January evening, Daniel invited Margaret to dinner at his home. When she arrived, Emily was there, setting the table with careful concentration. Hi, Mrs. Hayes, the girl said shyly. Dad said you tell the best stories about the restaurant. Over dinner, they talked and laughed. Emily told Margaret about her school science project. Margaret told them both about the time a famous actor had proposed to his girlfriend at the restaurant, and how everyone had cried. Later, after Emily went to bed, Daniel and Margaret sat together on the couch. She likes you, Daniel said. She's usually cautious with new people. I like her too, Margaret replied. She's wonderful, Daniel. You've done an amazing job. I want you to know, he said, taking her hand. I'm not looking for someone to replace her mother or to fit into some perfect picture. I'm happy when I'm with you. You make my life better. Margaret squeezed his hand. You've helped me understand something important. Loving Robert didn't end when he died. That love is still part of who I am. But that doesn't mean there's no room for new love, new joy. You've shown me I can honor the past while still living in the present. Outside, snow began to fall, soft and silent. Inside, 2 people who had both known loss and loneliness found themselves quite unexpectedly building something new. Not a fairy tale. Not a rescue, just 2 kind souls choosing each other, one gentle day at a time. And that, Margaret thought as Daniel pulled her close, was perhaps the most beautiful story of all.